Indras imparted to Maharaj Nimi. Maya is defined as forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna. Actually, Maya means, in quotes, that which is not. Thus, it is false to think that the living entity has no connection with the Supreme Lord. He may not believe in the existence of God, or he may think he has no relationship with God, but these ideas are all illusions or Maya. Due to absorption in this false conception of life, a man is always fearful and full of anxieties. In other words, Maya is the godless concept of life. And of course, we all have that relationship. So it's that which is not. So you think something that doesn't exist. You think you don't have a relationship, but you do. So one who is actually learned in the Vedic literature surrenders unto the Supreme Lord with great devotion and accepts him as the supreme goal. When a living entity forgets the constitutional nature of his relationship with God, he is at once overwhelmed by what? By the external energy. This is the cause of his false ego, his false identification of the body with the self. Indeed, his whole conception of the material universe arises from this false identification with the body, where he becomes attached to the body and its byproducts. To escape that entanglement, he has only to perform his duty, namely to surrender unto the Supreme Lord with intelligence, with devotion, and with sincere Krishna consciousness. So this chapter explains Maya as forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna, or another, this was in this chapter, that which is not. So forgetting your relationship with Krishna, or that which is not, something that's not. I'm not connected to God. There is no God. Those are all fallacies in one's thinking. And then one becomes under the control of the external energy of the Lord, and he thinks that he's his body, and he becomes attached to his body. And what else does he become attached to besides his body that I just read?
His property?
No, I didn't read that. He does become attached to his property, but I just didn't read that. His body and the byproducts of his body. So what are the byproducts of his body?
Children.
Anyone attached to their children?
Not a bit.
No, it's they're natural. Even Prabhupada says, wife, children, home, and the rest. You know, that the wife and the children are natural objects of affection. But if they're interfering with your Krishna consciousness, if they're stopping you from being Krishna consciousness, then even they should be given up. But it's not like you have to give up your family. But if they're stopping you, generally in the family is not. Sometimes the husband might or the wife might try to stop you because they get jealous of Krishna. But generally, your children don't really try to stop you unless you're in their house.
You have the answer to everything, don't you?
Any comments or questions on that? We have to get out of this illusion.
So it's saying that you shouldn't be overly attached, right? That's what it's saying, I think.
Well, the natural objects of affection. That's what he said. He said he didn't say the natural objects of attachment, but we're affectionate towards them. It's natural. It's natural.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. As long as it shouldn't stop you from your Krishna consciousness.
Right. That's
Yeah.
all. You don't have to get rid of everything. If they really stop you, and then sometimes there are some cases of that where the person makes their life, if they can't go to the temple, they can't do, especially like children, in this country, when they want to be devotees, the parents try to stop them. So they move into the temple and they forget about their parents.
I don't think that happens much anymore.
No,
Right.
that's what used to happen.
They had the deprogrammers, big business. Pay a lot of money to kidnap the devotees and try to deprogram them out of their
Surrendering to Krishna.
brainwashing.
Well, the kids have become smarter now. They get their education and then they move into the temple.
Yeah. They require that in Chaupati.
You have
They
to
have
have a
to
college
finish
degree to move
college
before you can
degree.
move in the temple.
Yeah, that's good.
We require at least a GED.
It's good because they show that they're responsible and they can follow through, That's good.
You want me to read it? You want me to
Go
read it?
ahead. Okay.
A conditioned soul falsely thinks himself happy in the material world, but if he is favored by an unalloyed devotee, if he hears the unalloyed devotee's instructions, he gives up his desire for material enjoyment and becomes enlightened in Krishna consciousness. So he thinks he's happy. They're in illusion. People think they're happy. There's suffering. I saw some like 1890 something or 1900 some a video of New York City, and it's showing all these people, and then I'm thinking every one of them is dead. They're all dead, but yet while they're there, they're trying to do this and that. It's like, what a waste. What do they have for it? They have nothing for it. But they're because it's from 1900 and they're pretty much all adults. Even if they were 10 years old, they'd be dead. Anyway, it's like, but we put so much emphasis and we think that we're happy. I mean, there are people in the video, nobody really looked happy. They didn't smile in those days. But people think that they are happy in the material world. But if they're favored by an unalloyed devotee, if he hears that unalloyed devotee's instructions, he gives up his desire for material enjoyment and becomes enlightened in Krishna consciousness. As soon as one enters into Krishna consciousness, somebody, Mike, still on Gita Mala, Mike? As soon as one enters into Krishna consciousness, his desire for material enjoyment is at once vanquished, and he gradually becomes free from material entanglement. There is no question of darkness where there is light, and Krishna consciousness is the light that dispels the darkness of material sense enjoyment. Just like there's that saying, if you're interested in a nice material sense enjoyment, you're interested in family, if you're interested in material life, then don't look at that boy on the other side of the Jamuna River, because if you do, you're not gonna want any of those things anymore. So similarly, if you become Krishna conscious, you can have that relationship with Krishna, and everything else has no value at all.
I was thinking how we're conditioned souls, and we're conditioned to a very lower, grosser sense of pleasure. As we evolve spiritually, that level of pleasure should get more refined, and ultimately spiritual pleasure. Once one experiences the spiritual pleasure, nothing can compare. There'll be no no attraction. You know, like Jamunacharya, when he thought of his previous sense enjoyment, his face, his lips would curl and he'd spit in distaste. You know, it's, we can't imagine, you know, the spiritual pleasure. It's just so satisfying, so wonderful that nothing, no gross sense gratification can compare.
Yeah, it's important to know that we are conditioned souls and we're looking for pleasure, because in reality, we are all pleasure seeking, but we're looking in the wrong places for this pleasure. We're looking in this material world, and there's no real pleasure in this material world. There's chapala sukha, flickering happiness, there and gone. But our desire for happiness, our desire for pleasure, we don't want it to end. And in the material world, it all ends. And we want it to even get better, and that's spiritual pleasure. So we are pleasure seeking, that's natural. But where do we get that higher taste? We have to get param dristvana vartate by experiencing that higher taste of surrendering to Krishna. Then we can give up that lower taste.
And most people's happiness is simply relief from distress due to identifying with the body, which is a great source of misery, the body and mind. And people are suffering from these, so they seek intoxication, gambling, you know, any, you know, addictions to get relief from this suffering. But it's not pure enjoyment.
What?
You're smiling.
Oh, I thought of when you said relief from distress. The devotees, not me, and when I was doing Sankirtan, and I don't think Jiva either, but there were devotees. Actually, it started, I think, from New Vrindavan, but I'm not positive. They'd go out on Sankirtan and they'd stop somebody and say, "I'm sorry, I have to issue a citation." And the people get really scared. And then they would say something like, "You're enjoying this concert a little too much," or something, you know, something. But then they give them some relief that they're not really getting a citation. Yes. So when they ask for $5 or $10, they're relieved and they give it, you know. But they first give them some distress. "I'm sorry, I have to issue a citation." And they have a paper and they're like writing it out, and the people are scared. So then they get relieved and they're so happy, so they give a donation. But that's the material world.
Yeah, don't they compare it to like being hit in the head with a hammer, and when it's away, you're happy?
When they stop
I'm
hitting
happy.
it. Right?
I'm happy.
No, you hit a few times and then you're not hitting anymore. So wow, this is nice. Not kidding you. Anyway, that's the material world. And unless we actually experience Krishna consciousness, and one can experience it in so many ways. There are 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, just any type of service you're doing, whatever you get in, whatever you're doing for Krishna, any one of the 9 processes of devotional service can give you that taste that you're looking for. And then you'll be able to give up this lower taste, at least to the degree in which you're surrendering to Krishna and you're getting a higher taste.
Reciprocal.
It's reciprocal. Let's see. A Krishna conscious person is never under the false conception that he is one with God. Knowing that he would not be happy working for himself, he engages all his energies in the service of the Supreme Lord and thereby gains release from the clutches of the illusory material energy. All his senses, when Prabhupada came, he used all his senses for spreading Krishna consciousness. And then he trained his disciples to do the same thing, where they're fully engaged day and night. You want to say something?
Oh, just every ounce of energy.
Yeah, Prabhupada used, yeah. So Prabhupada has given us this Krishna consciousness, all of us, even if it's directly or through his representative, he's given it. And the only thing he's asking is to also spread Krishna consciousness, become Krishna conscious yourself and give it to others. And this is what Prabhupada did, serving his guru. He only came here because his guru told him to preach to the English-speaking people. He didn't know, he wasn't coming because he wanted to go to a nice, materially advanced country. He was just coming because his guru wanted him to preach. Even when he got here, I don't know why you brought me here, but if you must have something for me to do. He didn't know what to do. Knowing that he would not be happy working for himself, he engages all his energies in the service of the Supreme Lord and thereby gains release from the clutches of the illusory material energy. In this connection, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted a verse from the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, where Krishna says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya dharatyaya mamevaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. My material energy, composed of the three modes of material nature, is very strong. It is very difficult to escape the clutches of the material energy. But one who has surrendered unto me is easily freed from the clutches of Maya. This is a little different translation than in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it says the same exact thing, but different words. Here it says, my material energy, where in the Bhagavad Gita, this divine energy of mine. So it's divine, because all his energies, all this material energy is coming from Krishna, therefore it's divine. But here he says, my material energy, so we don't get anything mixed up. And the way to get over this material energy or this illusory energy is by surrendering to Krishna. It's impossible to escape from the clutches of this material energy. But one who surrenders unto me easily can cross beyond it, easily can become freed from the clutches of Maya, easily. It's not difficult. Actually, the book that Shrutikirti wrote, it says, what is the difficulty? Because he was Prabhupada's servant for a long time. And he titled the book, because Prabhupada say that so many times, what is the difficulty? Like, what are we doing that's so difficult? We get up, we chant, then we take prasadam, we have kirtan, we go out and sell books. What is the difficulty? We're not asking you to do something that's so hard. Anybody can do it. What is the difficulty? Prabhupada said that many times. So we can easily become freed from the clutches of Maya by surrendering to Krishna. First thing is, and I think everybody on this call knows what we have to do to surrender to Krishna.
That's what I was going to ask, if everybody remembers those 6 symptoms of surrender.
Oh, those 6 symptoms.
Yeah. Is everybody remembering?
Does anyone remember any of them?
Being dependent on Krishna.
Yeah, always be dependent on the mercy of Krishna. Yes.
Having no interest separate from Krishna.
Yes, have no interest other than the interests of the Lord. Yes.
Accept what is favorable and reject what is unfavorable.
Yes. So that's another 2.
Be meek and humble.
Yes. Kamala.
Something I'm not.
Well, I just was thinking you got that. What's just one more? Oh, I know what it is.
No, he did the mercy.
Maintainer. Krishna is the maintainer.
Yeah. No. Is that?
Did you? I didn't think he said that. He said
Yeah.
always feel protected.
Oh, I did.
That's what I heard.
What did you say, Kavish? When you said-
Dependent. He said, be completely dependent on Krishna.
Oh,
Dependent
dependent
on
on
his mercy.
Krishna's mercy.
I
Okay.
said, yeah.
So then what was the last one? And you said yes. I didn't think that was right.
That Krishna is our maintainer.
No,
Accept Krishna.
it's
That
not
is
it.
the one? He
That's not
maintains-
maintainer. No.
What's this one though, right?
Yeah.
Protector. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. Always feel that Krishna is protecting you.
Protecting you, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really big one. And I was,
I know.
because I gave a talk yesterday, and things came up, and I saw that I was used to definitely completely feel I'm under the Krishna's protection. And I did anything and everything. And I did some really, really bold things, but I didn't think they were bold things. I didn't care. I knew Krishna's protecting me. I remember. I'm not saying I'm like that now, but I was like that. Really, really, really felt that I'm doing the right thing and nothing can happen. So we have to feel protected. And Krishna does protect his devotees. Just like the baby feels the parents are going to protect them. And they do. And then later on, the kid grows up and he doesn't really need the protection of the parents. And the parents don't do much, trying to help them all the time. Or if they do, the kids get upset because why are you interfering with my life so much? So
surrender is not like a one-time thing. Like if you're in a battle, I surrender, but it's an ongoing,
right.
We can become less surrendered, we can get more surrendered.
Right. It's not like, well, let me surrender and get it over with.
Yeah.
It's not something you get over with. It's moment to moment. Always feel protected by the Lord. You want to read?
So, and it's like a level of faith. Yeah, I got hands.
Yeah, so I don't think you can read. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on to teach that each and every moment the conditioned soul is engaged in some fruitive activity, he forgets his real identity. Sometimes when he is tired of material activities, he wants liberation and hankers to become one with the Supreme. But at other times, he thinks that by working hard to gratify his senses, he will be happy. I mean, that one sentence, people think that they can be happy by just working hard, getting their business going, doing really well, becoming rich, then they can be happy. That has nothing to do with happiness. It's got nothing to do with real happiness. It's not going to make you happy. There's a Beatles song, Money Can't Buy You Love. And of course, real love is for Krishna. So in both cases, he is covered by the material energy. So even when he wants to be liberated, he's covered by the material energy because he thinks he could become one with God. Or he thinks he is God, and we're all God, everything is one. For the enlightenment of such bewildered, conditioned souls who are working under a false identification, the Supreme Lord has presented us with voluminous Vedic literature, including the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Vedanta Sutra. These are all intended to guide the human being back to Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further explained that when a conditioned soul is accepted by a spiritual master out of his mercy and is guided by the super soul, the soul can take advantage of the various Vedic scriptures, become enlightened, and make progress in spiritual realization. It is because Lord Krishna is always merciful to his devotees that he has presented all this Vedic literature by which one can understand his relationship with him and can act on the basis of that relationship. In this way, one is gifted with the ultimate goal of life. I was just thinking about, people who work hard and think they could become happy. Then there's other people that are in the mode of ignorance that don't really do anything. And they're thinking everything is very, very nice, very wonderful, but they're just suffering. In the mode of ignorance, it said there's no happiness at all. not in the beginning or at the end. Whereas with the mode of passion, in the beginning there is happiness, and then, I mean, it's just temporary, so it's not real happiness, but there is some happiness. So you're better off working really hard, even in this material world, to be happy rather than just do nothing and just be in ignorance. Of course, even better better than working hard in the material world, if you don't do anything and just think of Krishna, then that's completely transcendental. And Krishna will take care of you. And you have to have that faith. And he will. That's how you develop your faith. You have to have some faith to start.
And he gives so many things for the conditioned soul to guide him back to Godhead. Here, 3 things are mentioned: the super soul, the guru, and the shastra. That these 3 help the conditioned living entity to turn his face back in the right direction.
Yeah, and the Shastras, it also says here, are many. And the gurus also can be many. One Diksha, but many Shiksha gurus. The Super Soul is one. Any comments or questions?
Usually we have the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Here we have the Guru, Shastra, and Super Soul. I guess the Super Soul gets everything going. You know, the inspiration in the heart directs the living entity.
And the Super Soul is also there at every moment to make your faith stronger when you surrender to him. When you surrender to the Guru, the Super Soul will make your faith stronger. You'll feel protected by Krishna.
It seems they're all interrelated because you have to have some awareness of what the Guru is in order to accept a bona fide Guru. And you need the Guru to help you understand the Shastra.
But surrender to the Guru means following the Guru's instructions, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you could look for a Guru that doesn't give you many instructions.
well, one instruction is enough. Look at Srila Prabhupada. He kept that one instruction, preaching to the Western world.
Yeah, I know.
Go. And that was enough.
It was
If you take it to heart.
a full-time job.
Full-time, lifetime job. Yes.
Yeah. But when he would have been retired, anybody his age is retired. They don't start a full. It's a full-time. You get up, 1 o'clock in the morning and start translating. Then after a while, he takes a little nap later on. And then he works like anything all day. No devotees. If you listen to the devotees' memories, no one can keep up with Srila Prabhupada.
Exactly.
He circled the globe, how many times? 14 times in 12 years?
Amazing. And he would
kept the same schedule
same schedule. I
No
was just
such
going to
thing
say
as
that.
jet lag.
Yeah, no jet lag.
The devotees are wiped out, They couldn't rise early. They're sleeping because they got there late, whatever. But Prabhupada's up and
In his morning walk, they couldn't keep up. It's so hard. He walked so fast.
he's on spiritual energy.
Bhakti Swami is practicing to keep up with Prabhupada. He walks real fast too.
There's a lot of walking.
Yeah. Walking guru. Want to read?
Actually, every living entity is destined to understand his relationship with the Supreme Lord and ultimately to reach him. Now that's our destiny right there. People wonder, what's my destiny?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's it right there. Every living entity is destined to understand his relationship with the Supreme Lord and ultimately reach him. That's our final destiny.
And it's funny because people lots of times they think that they're destined to become rich or they're destined for this or that, but they're really just
destined to become famous. They're
Right.
destined to be.
And the real fame, it says, what's the real fame is the fame of a devotee. And if you become Krishna's servant, it's like when you serve the king. You enjoy almost on the level of the king. You're serving Krishna,
The most famous.
you get everything. So that's the real destiny for everyone. If you really want you see some special destiny in your future, it's actually just to surrender to Krishna.
And it's for everyone. No bar. The execution of duties to attain this perfection is known as devotional service. And in maturity, such devotional service becomes love of God, the true goal of life for every living being. The living entity should not desire success in religious rituals, economic development, or sense enjoyment, or even liberation. One should desire only to achieve the stage of transcendental loving service to the Lord, pure Krishna consciousness. The all-attractive features of Lord Krishna help one attain this stage of pure devotional service. And one who engages in the preliminary practices of Krishna consciousness can ultimately realize the relationship between himself and Krishna. I like that sentence. The all-attractive features of Lord Krishna help one attain this stage of pure devotional service. If he wasn't all attractive, it wouldn't be so easy, but Krishna, his name, his pastimes, his form, everything about him is so attractive. It makes it easier to practice devotional service. If we didn't have these wonderful features, it'd be much more difficult. It would be forcing ourselves.
I like this, that one who engages in the preliminary practices of Krishna consciousness. So that's us hearing, chanting, doing your rounds and engaging some menial service, ultimately realizes the relationship between himself and Krishna. Now that relationship, I'm a gopi, I'm a coward boy, you can actually ultimately realize that just by practicing the preliminary stages of devotional service.
I feel like this is like Prabhupada's insight, the all-attractive features of Lord Krishna, because he's experiencing them.
Right.
He sees that and he's experiencing these wonderful, beautiful qualities of Krishna. He's so attractive. So he's saying that it makes it easy. It's almost like, how can you not?
Right.
Because for him, it's so wonderful. In this connection, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu related a story from Srila Madhvacharya's commentary on the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5:10 through 13. This story involves the instructions of an astrologer, Sarvagya. That's all-knowing, right? One who knows everything. Astrologer to a poor man who came to him to have his future told. When the astrologer saw the man's horoscope, he was astonished that the man was so poor, and he said to him, "Why are you so unhappy? From your horoscope, I can see that you have a hidden treasure left to you by your father. However, the horoscope indicates that your father could not disclose this to you because he died in a foreign place. But now you can search out this treasure and be happy." This story is cited because the living entity is suffering due to his ignorance of the hidden treasure of his Supreme Father, Krishna. That treasure is love of Godhead, and in every Vedic scripture, the conditioned soul is advised to find it. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, although the conditioned soul is the son of the wealthiest person, the personality of Godhead, he does not realize it. Therefore, the Vedic literature is given to him to help him search out his father and his paternal property, his rightful heir. You know, it's everyone's rightful heir. The astrologer further advised the poor man, don't dig on the southern side of your house to find the treasure, for if you do, you will be attacked by a poisonous wasp and will be baffled in your efforts to find the treasure. Search on the eastern side, where there is actual light, which is devotional service or Krishna consciousness. On the southern side, there are Vedic rituals. On the western side, there is mental speculation. And on the northern side, there's meditational yoga. The astrologer's advice should be carefully noted by everyone. If one searches for the ultimate goal by the Vedic ritualistic process, he will surely be baffled. Such a process involves the performance of rituals under the guidance of a priest who takes money in exchange for service. A man may think he will be happy by performing such rituals, but this is not true. Even if he does gain some result from them, it is only temporary. His material distresses will continue, so he will never become truly happy by following the ritualistic process. Instead, his material pangs will increase more and more. The same may be said for digging on the northern side or searching for the treasure of love of God by means of the meditational yoga process. The perfection of this process is to think oneself one with the Supreme Lord. But this merging into the Supreme is like being swallowed by a large serpent. Sometimes a small serpent is swallowed by a large serpent, and merging into the spiritual existence of the Supreme is analogous. While the small serpent is searching after perfection, he is swallowed. This is spiritual suicide. On the western side, there is also an impediment in the form of a yaksha, an evil spirit who protects the treasure. This yaksha is jnana yoga, the speculative process of self-realization. The idea is that a hidden treasure can never be found by one who asks the favor of a yaksha to attain it. The result is that one will simply be killed. So while the yogis practicing meditation is like a small serpent being swallowed by a large serpent, practicing the speculative process to attain the treasure of love of Godhead is also suicidal. The only possibility then is to search for the hidden treasure on the eastern side, which represents the process of devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. Indeed, the process of devotional service is itself the perpetual hidden treasure, and one who attains to it becomes perpetually rich. One who is poor in devotional service to Krishna is always in need of material gain. Sometimes he suffers the bites of poisonous creatures and is baffled, and sometimes he follows the philosophy of monism, and thereby loses his identity and is swallowed by a large serpent. It is only by abandoning all this and becoming fixed in Krishna consciousness, devotional service to the Lord, that one can actually achieve the perfection of life. So does everyone understand this analogy? This
Okay, what analogy?
parable? What do you call it, a parable?
This
The story
astrologer.
of the poor man going to an astrologer to find out his future.
Can anyone kind of tell us something about it?
Someone summarize it for everyone?
It means that the impersonal following the impersonal Brahman is like being small serpent being swallowed by a large serpent. And, mental speculation like going after mystic yoga or yogic practices is also dangerous. And then devotion, didn't understand one side of it, but devotional service is the eastern side, which is the best.
Yeah.
So all those lower processes are Vedic rituals also.
Yeah, Vedic ritual, speculation,
Yeah, Vedic rituals, speculation, impersonal Brahman, all are.
meditation, like that.
Yeah, yeah. And the highest is the eastern side, which is the devotional service.
Right, and this is and why is this astrologer saying you should be rich?
Because you are, like you said, a king's servant enjoys everything. Krishna's servant enjoys everything. We are rich and we don't understand, and we are sitting in this poverty-stricken material world.
What did the astrologer say to him?
He says, you have this hidden, why are you so unhappy? You have this hidden treasure because your father died in a foreign country. He couldn't tell you about it. You know, he's just using that as an analogy. And he's saying the Vedic, the Vedic literatures are telling you about it. So there is a map to get to this treasure.
Yeah, it was his father. It's his father's treasure. He left it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And our father is Krishna.
Krishna, yeah.
The rightful heir.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't die, but
Right. That part is pure analogy.
But he's not within his vision at the time.
Right. He's not within his vision exactly in that sense. Yeah.
So one side is karma kanda, like the fruit of activities.
What side is that?
Isn't that like the wasp? Fruit of activities from the Vedic
I don't think
literature?
it's a fruit of activities, is it? I don't know.
The impersonal Brahman is the small serpent eating the large serpent eating the small serpent.
Yeah, it's at the north.
The north is
Yoga.
meditation.
Yeah, the yogic process. One wants to become God, merge. And then the jnana, the speculative, is the yaksha. Sometimes it says a ghost. They also want to merge, and that's considered spiritual suicide.
Yeah, it says it just says, don't dig on the southern side, at least at this part of your house to find the treasure. For if you do so, you will be attacked by a poisonous wasp and will be baffled your attempt. So,
I don't know,
on the southern side,
Vedic rituals. Usually
Vedic
one
rituals.
performs the Vedic rituals to achieve
I see, karma,
some material.
Yes, okay.
But it'll
there's
come
fire
back, it comes
sacrifice.
back and stings you. So don't go there. The real treasure is on the eastern side.
Okay, on the southern side, there's Vedic rituals. On the western side, there's mental speculation. On the northern side, there's meditational yoga. Don't do any of them. Go to the east.
It's always the east.
A good way to remember that is that Western people tend to be mental speculators and Eastern people tend to be devotional service. The North and South you'll have to figure out, but
Yeah.
Also,
Western
the sun
philosophy is
rises in the
all
east.
speculation.
Yeah.
The sun rises in the east also, yeah.
Northern side, meditational. Northern side, meditational yoga. People in Canada seem a lot more peaceful. The southern side, Vedic rituals. Mexicans, they pray a lot for first. Anyway, I don't know how to do it that
It
way.
reminds me of the verse I mentioned in the Isha Upanishad class that Prabhupada quotes Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur's Chaitanya Chandramrita about the Akash, I don't remember, Akash Pushpayate, how the devotee, he sees the karma kanda, the fruit of activities, like a will-o'-the-wisp. You know, it's fleeting for devotee. It's attaining the heavenly planets. It's like a will-o'-the-wisp. It's not lasting. And he sees the meditational process as, those who are meditating, they're doing the yogic process, they're trying to control the serpent-like senses. But for the devotee, the fangs of this serpent are automatically knocked out. Dante, I don't know the Sanskrit for the verse, but something like that.
Krishna punched him out.
Yeah, and the Gyanis, it's like, it's hell for a devotee, you know, thinking of these other things. It's like attaining hell, no better than hell for the devotee. It reminds me of that, you know, that the treasure is only in the bhakti.
And for the devotee, he doesn't see any difference between heaven and hell. Doesn't matter where he goes, as long as he's serving Krishna, that's all.
And I
Okay.
believe this is also representative, like all the Vedic literatures are the Sambandha Abhidayana Prayojana. Like first he establishes who he is, that he is the son of a wealthy person. You know, who am I? And now that I know that, what do? You know, I dig. You know, that's the Abhideya. I have to find, and attaining the treasure is the prayojana, the ultimate goal, which is love of God. Bhakti.
Where to dig?
Where to dig, right? What to do and where.
So you know who your
where.
father is, you know he left you a treasure, and you know what you have to do. You got to dig to get it, and then you know where you got to dig, on the eastern side.
It always comes down to these.
Everything is intertwined. Okay, time.
It's a good, nice story to remember. It helps put things in perspective. Jnana, yoga.
It's a good, nice story to
Karma
remember,
kanda.
because you remember it, you're going to remember Krishna.
Mhm.
So all these things are there to ultimately help us to remember Krishna.
Any comments, questions, realizations?
Beliefs.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. This is a clarification question. So this example was given by Madhvacharya, right?
Yeah,
Madhvacharya?
yeah. On commenting on the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Also, Mataji, you said that devotees would not like to be in heaven or something. Can you hear me, Mataji?
You're muffled.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhuji. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit, not so well. But go ahead.
Better.
Yeah. So Mataji, you said that devotees would not like to be in heaven because they don't get to serve Krishna, so it's like hell for them. But then some devotees who are still devotees of Krishna, they're like demigods and they are in heaven. So how do we explain that, Mataji? Is it because they still have a nature to control?
Well, there's two things. One is they're not fully surrendered to Krishna. So they still have some material desires, just like we are trying to surrender to Krishna, and we're doing so much, but we still not fully surrendered. So we might like those things. That's one thing. The other thing is, as a devotee, we go wherever Krishna wants. Krishna wants you to be in heaven and be in charge of something, you do it as service to Krishna. But you don't care for it. It's not like I really relish this. It doesn't matter. I do this here, I'll do it in hell, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm doing it, I'm happy. So you're getting a higher taste, Krishna consciousness. I just answered for her because I didn't know, because I wanted to, I guess.
The question was meant for both of you, Prabhuji and Mataji. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Yeah, I also answered because nobody's asking me any questions. Everybody's asking her.
Yeah, devotees ready to serve in any capacity.
Okay. Thank you.
And sometimes they attain that position because they're conditioned by the mode of goodness. You know, their devotion is mixed. So they get that. And from there, they can make advancement
Mm.
and get more and more purified. Demigod means it's a temporary position also.
Yeah, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, it says, in his early life, Bilwa Mangal Thakur was an impersonalistic monist, and he used to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman. And later, he became a devotee of Lord Krishna, and his explanation for this change is given in this verse text that Kaivalyam Naraka,
Oh,
quoted
yes.
in the book. Yeah, sometimes a devotee gradually comes to the stage of Bhagavan realization of the Supreme Person, after having attained the lower stages of realization, impersonal Brahman, realization of the localized Paramatma, realization. The condition of such a devotee is described in the Chaitanya Chandramrita by Prabodhananda Sarvasya, the one you quoted, Jiva. Kaivalyam narakayate, tridash purakasha pushpayate, durdatendriya kalasarpa patali protkata damstrayate, vishwam purna sukhayate, vidhi mahendra dis Chakitayate Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhava Vatam Tam Gauram Evastuma. So then that is a translation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Anyone else, comments, questions? Because time to end class. Anyway, thank
Two in the
you.
chat. Is
Oh,
there-
there's something in the chat. We don't know what
We
that
never
is.
check the chat.
We don't usually.
We'll be doing kirtan for 30 minutes after the class. There'll be a kirtan after the class if anybody wants to stay on. That's what the chat is saying to everybody.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming
Nice
to
to
our
see
Saturday
everybody.
evening class. Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai,
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Pyari Prabhu and Jiva Mataji ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.